Good evening, and a very good evening, and welcome to the Sunday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID, Tottenham Till I Die. What a wonderful night to be here, and if you're wondering why, well, I still can't believe that scoreline that's in front of you there. Manchester City 0, Tottenham 4, and we are going to be talking about that with our esteemed panel tonight. From the perfect match, Kate and Jimbo. Good evening, Kate and Jimbo.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing, guys? You well?
Good.
Yeah, buzzing. Still buzzing, aren't we, Jimbo?
Of course we are.
Yeah. And bottom left, hiding behind the mask, AJ. Good evening, AJ.
Good evening, and it wasn't a bad result of the weekend, was it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to talk about the game in a little bit of detail as well. And good evening to you, our co-founder, co-host, Adrian. Good evening, Adrian.
Hi to everyone. Hi to everyone in the chat. I'm sure you're all going to enjoy this show. And my feet haven't touched the ground. I think I'm like a lot of Spurs fans. We actually, we've seen what we've seen was probably the best game under Ange since he's been here.
Yeah. One of our number in the chat said it was the best Spurs performances since Pochettino left. Kate, what do you say to that thought?
I don't know. Certainly one of the best performances I've seen for a long time. Definitely the best performance under Postecoglou, and probably the biggest buzz I've had as a Spurs fan since the Ajax game. I was screaming my head off actually through most of the match, and so much so it made my throat sore. And just one of those games where you can't criticise anyone because every player on that pitch was phenomenal, and
Absolutely.
You don't get that very often. So yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, Jim, how does that performance rank in your memory of recent years?
Well, it was a masterclass. I mean, there's not much you can say except it was a masterclass by Postecoglou and the players. It was faultless all round. That's the word I would use, faultless.
Yeah. AJ, can you add to that?
First off, how does my mic sound?
How does what?
His
mic
mic
sound.
My mic.
It's a little
bit muffly.
Yeah.
Do you want me to drop out and come back in?
If you think it'll make it easier, yeah, I can hear you, but you could be clearer.
I just messaged him and said his mic was a bit dodgy.
Yeah. Okay, he's gone. We'll bring him back on. Adrian, again, you've watched Tottenham a lot of years. How did that rank yesterday in terms of recent performances?
Well, you're going away to arguably the best team in Europe, and you're smashing them in their own backyard 4-0, and to not even concede a goal. I mean, it's you struggle to find, words to describe what happened yesterday. I mean, and the team deserve all the accolades they get. I haven't seen the press, so I don't know if they would. They'd probably go on and say how poor Man City weren't knowing them with us. Yeah. But I mean, I haven't seen the press. I won't go there because I just know what they're like, But no, I mean, it was a top 5-star performance.
Yeah, AJ, you enjoyed it, obviously.
Does it sound better now? Do I sound better?
Yeah. I just wanted to get you talking. Yeah, it's a bit better. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was an exceptional performance to a man. Absolutely exceptional.
I mean, we're going to talk in more detail, but I've described it as Ange's tactical masterclass, and I think that he and the players, everybody got it absolutely right, and we don't always say that. But Jimbo, let's start with you. Let's talk about that side that was picked. We'll talk about formations in a minute, but in terms of the 11 that he selected, were you surprised by that?
No, not at all. I thought it was going to actually be a bit of a weaker team than that because I thought that Basuma was injured and I thought that Kulu was injured. That was all what I was hearing. That Kulu's shoulder was bad and Basuma wasn't 100% fit. So when I saw that team, I was actually on We Are Tottenham TV when the team come out, and I was over the moon, absolutely over the moon. And I said on there, I couldn't see us losing with that team against them. I was so confident. I was really, really pleased when I saw that lineup.
Kate, have you had him examined by a doctor lately?
Regularly. But do you know what? He muddied us all because on the Friday preview show, we all said losses or I think Chang predicted a draw and Jim went, we're going to win easy. And we laughed. We actually laughed at him. And Nick said, there is absolutely no way we go to the Etihad and get anything. And Jim proved us wrong and muddied us all. So, at the moment, he's living on that. He's absolutely dining out on the fact that he was right. But I have to say, I was surprised that he played Kulu on the wing. I didn't think we'd ever see Kulu back on the wing, but I thought his role was quite fluid, and it proved to be a genius move.
Yeah. AJ, before I bring you in, there's a good few people in the chat, our usual suspects, and I mean that in the absolutely the nicest possible way.
Evening, Graham.
Good evening, Graham. Fantastic result indeed. Lovely to see you online with us. And Nita and you, good evening to you.
Another
Nita.
Regular friend of the show.
Queen Ellie, my feet are dancing. One of Ellie.
Hope your throat's better, Ellie.
One of our team. Not of City. Woo woo. I thought you weren't well. If that doesn't cure you, Ellie, and we have to give you chicken soup. And if that doesn't work well, there's no hope for you, I'm afraid. Mile High Hotspur. Good evening, Mile High Hotspur.
Mm-hmm.
And that's you, Kate.
That's me.
Yeah, that's you. Peter, my time check from Melbourne. My life is
paramedic.
Complete. My evening is complete now. I've got the time check, and NAP. I don't know who you are. I should do, but I don't. But welcome. Elusive Rubber the Green. Yeah, absolutely. And Stevie D. Good evening to you, Steve. Let's go back to the banners. Let's go back to the team. AJ, what were your thoughts when we saw that team?
I wasn't shocked to see Decky on the wing. He offers a lot more defensively than Johnson. Johnson has been very good lately. He's chipped in with assists and goals, but he's not strong defensively. And if City were going to be at it, that's what we needed. We needed somebody who's going to cover a lot of ground, somebody strong on the ball, defensively and as an outlet. We know what City are like when they press. When they're on it, they press very well. They press as a team. You need that outlet, and Kulu is the only person for us, other than Dominic Solanke now. Kulu is the main guy who's going to hold on to that ball and carry it up the pitch. So I wasn't surprised to see him in. Basuma, I think Basuma and Bentancur usually get rotated, but with the suspension, it's going to be Basuma now, and he impressed me. Although 17 seconds in, I was fearing the worst when he got a yellow card, and I didn't think he'd make it. I didn't think he'd make it the whole game. I thought it was going to be a spicy one. But yeah, I mean, I think he picked the best team that he had available to him, the strongest team he had available to him, and it was more than strong enough to deal with that little Manchester club.
Yeah. Adrian, you agree with that leaving Johnson out and putting Decky in gave us a bit more strength?
Yeah, because we've been defending has been absolutely atrocious this season. And that's even when we've had 6, 7, 8 or 9 people back in the box, right? It's nothing to do with the system. And I wrote it actually and put it in the WhatsApp groups. And I said, if I was Ange, I'd bring Decky back in on the wing because he gives Porro that bit more protection. Who he hasn't, I mean, they're all back 4 or 5 before yesterday. Hasn't exactly been in the greatest form, excluding Davies because he ain't played much game. So I thought, bring Decky in. And if you notice with that team, apart from Solanke, when we won them 8 games and 2 draws beginning of last season, that midfield was Basuma, Sarr and Maddison. So I don't know if that's a pointer again. I mean, now Ange knows. He knows we're a much better team with Decky in. I mean, I expect changes throughout the season, obviously, as we all do, especially for Roma. But this is the sort of team I'd want to see play Fulham. This is the same team I'd want to see play Fulham at home. But we'll see, won't we? I'm sure you'll come to all those things.
I am. I probably won't talk too much about Fulham. I'll leave that to your show on Friday. But I will be talking about Roma. because that's obviously a big game. We've got a couple of big games now. Otherwise, it's all wasted. But I put that up as one of the things. I thought this was Ange at his very best. And the criticism, of course, of Ange is he doesn't adapt. He plays one way, and that one way is his 4-3-3, inverted fullbacks, high line, and you get done. But yesterday, I couldn't make a proper gap between those. At times, we started at 4-2-3-1, and we went 4-1-4-1 at times. AJ, let's bring you in first here. What were your thoughts on the formation, and particularly the way you had two holding midfield players?
I think one of the main criticisms people levy at Ange is the fact that he's very rigid in the sense that he plays his way. He tweaks it slightly, but predominantly he plays his way, his style, his system. And he is a little bit stubborn, a lot stubborn to be fair. But I think this game against City, it was very fluid, very fluid. Maddison was drifting out left, back inside. Becky was out wide, right, drifting inside, creating space. Porro, I think, was brilliant. Porro did a lot of work. He got up and down the pitch very well, like more so than I've seen him do in a long, long time. I think he gave them a certain freedom to play against City. I don't think that he probably thought it was a free hit, but let's be honest. You're not expecting to go to City and come away with all 3 points. I mean, what is it, 52 games unbeaten? So he knows, in all realness, he knows that it's a very, very, very big task ahead of him. However, you've got to be brave. And I think he was. He let the players play with a certain freedom. And, I mean, the result speaks for itself.
Kate, brave but not reckless for once.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've heard that we can't count yesterday's win as Ange ball because it wasn't Ange ball. Apparently, it was just counter-attacking football, which is apparently what all the keyboard experts have been screaming out for since Ange came in. So I'm not sure we can really count this as an Ange ball win, despite it being Ange in charge, because he completely changed his tactics. But like you say, this from a man who doesn't adapt, who has only a plan A and never sort of makes any tweaks. I think he done a bloody good job, because Pep has now officially lost more times to Tottenham than any other team in his whole career. He's never lost 4-0 as a coach. And this is all from a man who people claim is a clown and a fraud. So all I can say to them is suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah, I mean, you want to add to that, Jimbo? I thought there was so much, and we're going to talk about individual performances and the way it affected the collective. But I thought playing Sarr and Biss in front of the back four was so absolutely right for that game.
I think to myself, if you've got Basuma and Sarr, well, I'm not going to go into what other people think because I don't really care what they think. It's what I see that I'll go on. When you've got Sarr and Basuma in the midfield and they're on it, there's very few teams are going to beat us because they're both such good footballers. And it's been a shame that Basuma's been in and out, but he has. I think that he's done well this season. Them two, they just boss games. I mean, yesterday they made a mockery of the best team in the world's midfield yesterday. And so when them two are on it, I tell you what, we're not going to get beat very often, not at all. I liked what Ange done yesterday. I thought that he played it very smart. We're going to go into the players in a minute, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, not every one of them, but we'll go talk about a few of them, absolutely. And the way they fed off each other, yeah.
Well, just let me say, in case we don't talk about him, Ben Davies, for me...
We are going to talk about him.
I'll shut up.
I promise we're going to talk about Ben Davies. The much maligned Ben Davies for reasons I simply don't get. But... There's a couple of comments there from Graham in the chat, Spurs GCTV. AJ, perhaps you want to come in on this. I think Ange sets the team up at the start of each game, giving them base instructions to have to follow, but the freedom to play. And then he follows that up with, when they follow the basics, we play well. When it has fallen apart, we have not done the basics. And then Steve comes in with, we need to make additions, but I'm done with changing managers every 5 minutes. Well, I'm not going to have the manager debate tonight of all nights. But AJ, you come in because I think Graham makes some really fundamental points, that they have a way of playing. But Ange seems to me, the kind of leadership he's instilling is to get players to take responsibility for their own performances on the pitch.
Yeah, I get that, and I agree. I mean, I would like to see a little bit more from him on the touchline, but I mean, if he's trying to instill this leadership and this winning mentality and wanting the players to do it for themselves, I mean, he can't be mollycoddling them every 5 minutes. But with Ange, I just want to touch on something that was briefly mentioned by Kate, like that people say you can't count the win because, you know, it wasn't his tactics. What annoys me is people who set people up to foul. And if he sticks to his guns and doesn't change his tactics and we lose, he's stubborn, he can't do it, he's out of his depth. If he tweaks, which people want, and adapts and changes the system, changes formation, and we win, it doesn't count because they're not his tactics. So he's on a hiding to nothing. He's in a lose-lose situation. There is no win for that. And that's not being a fan. That's having an agenda against the manager or whatever. But we have seen and his system, his philosophy, we've seen it work, we've seen it bear fruit. I mean, we took City apart. It wasn't a smash and grab, we took them apart. Like, the commentators were waxing lyrical about how well we were playing, not just in patches, but throughout the game. You know, Neville could have given man of the match to any one of a number of players. I mean, he was tied between Kulu and Maddison, for God's sake. So it was a brilliant performance. It does work, but a lot of that is down to the players. You can pick the best lineup possible. You can pick your strongest team. If those players are on the pitch and they decide to phone it in or half-ass it, the manager can't be held accountable for that. You know, if the players aren't giving it everything, that's not the manager's fault. Yes, you can call into question: is he making substitutes too late? You know, if a particular way he's playing, we're getting overrun and he's not seeing that and he's not adapting, yes, okay, he's got to be held accountable. But the players, as soon as they walk over that line, they get onto that pitch, they've got to be held accountable for their actions. And a lot of people forget that because it's easy to target someone who you don't like.
No. Evening, Ben. Always good to see you. Adrian, let me put the question back to you in a slightly different way. You've worked. You're a man who's had a long working career. If the boss comes into your office and says, "Do this, do that, do this, do that," and you just do it because it's easy and you follow instructions, and then one day the boss isn't there and you have to think for yourself, you can't do it because you've been micromanaged. So this might be short-term pain for long-term gain, to get players to take responsibility for themselves on the pitch.
Well, from what's happened, I mean, I don't agree that Ange doesn't adapt. And you've got all the noise around Ange, all those people making noise around Ange. It's been an easy step to silence from him, isn't it, after that game? I mean, and it's a myth. I don't know what other fans perceive when they go, they watch games on telly or whatever. He's adapted all through this season. I mean, we went away to Leicester. You had Sonia on the left, Solanke through the middle. You had Johnson on the right. Solanke got injured. And the next game, Son played through the middle. Odeberg was on the left. Johnson was on the right. Basuma came back from his punishment. In the next game, he changed it again. Decky played through the middle, right? In none of these games have we seen two at the back, which a lot of people have ranted on about, two at the back, suicide football. It's always been four at the back or three at the back. It's a myth. All right. I've criticised him when he's got subs wrong and we lost games when we think he's got his game management wrong. We've all critiqued him, but he's got most of it right, and he still hasn't got the squad that he wants, right? Because we know we desperately need a left back and another centre back, but we'll probably come to that later. And so he has adapted. I don't go with it. If people disagree with what I'm saying, that's fine. I haven't got an issue with that. I'm not here to browbeat people. I never do that. But to me, he has adapted all through the season. So I just don't get it. I just don't get it when people come. I mean, perhaps they've got other agendas, but we'll leave it there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk. Well, I do want to talk about the defenders and the defending, because every great attacking performance usually comes from a solid base. But Jim, Decky, I much prefer him inside than out. But yesterday, and it does seem there's a couple of games. I think about the game. What was it? We got was it Luton away when Basuma got sent off and he just did a shift. It does seem to me that there are some, particularly away games, when he gets a little bit more space, that he is really effective with the out ball and working that right touchline. I mean, he gave Guardiola an absolute doing yesterday.
You're on mute, Jim.
Jim?
That's the best place for me, Kate.
It was. That's the most sense I've heard you speak in ages.
Decky,
I haven't got my yellow card, Kate. That's a yellow card for that one.
Decky, for me, he's our De Bruyne. I can't speak highly enough of this guy. He will give you 100% wherever he is on the pitch, right? And I thought it was a good move by Ange yesterday, putting him out there on the wing, and he was drifting in a lot, and he caused them so many problems. Even when he was out on the wing, and he wasn't as effective, and people were coming down on him, we knew there was a player in there. But when we first bought him, he was fantastic, and I just thought it was a really good move by Ange yesterday, and he proved to be right by doing it. But he was drifting in the middle, and his work rate is second to none. And he's our De Bruyne, Ian. He's our De Bruyne, honestly. I rate this guy very, 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 very high. And there was people saying a few months ago that we need to get rid of him. And I said on Kate's stream or our stream that we will be a lot worse a team without him, without any shadow of a doubt.
I'm one that's not always been convinced, but there's enough. He's done enough in the last year and a half, probably the last 12 months, to make me see what he absolutely does bring. AJ, were you surprised to see Brennan Johnson left out of the starting 11?
No. He's been very good, but he doesn't have the. You can't depend on him the way you can Kulu. He's not as reliable. He's not as strong. He hasn't got as many facets to his game. Brennan Johnson's very good at running in behind, uses his pace well, and he picks up space. He gets to the back post. He's there for tap-ins and the assists. But Kulu offers you so much more. For me, he's my favourite player. For me, he's the best Spurs player at the moment in our current squad. He is strong. He's stronger than anyone else. He will get you 20 or 30 yards up the pitch regularly. He's not lightning quick, but he's deceivingly. He's a lot quicker than people think. That man, I swear, if you put a pair of gloves on him, he could do half a decent job in goal. He is, for me, he's got to be the first name on the team sheet, whether you're playing him in the middle or out wide right. He's got to be the first name, because what he gives you is more than any other player on that pitch.
Kate, it seems to me that Decky's more effective in away games out wide and more effective in the middle in home games. Is that a figment of my imagination, or is it just the fact he gets more space on the right wing in away games and can do more magic?
I think that's probably just coincidence more than anything. I said to Jim, I was one of the people a couple of years ago, Adrian will know, or a year or so ago, saying, I want Kulu out of the club. He drives me mad.
You're the problem. You're the problem.
Oh, shut up. Then I said...
that's a yellow card for you too.
Then I said that I think there's a place in the team for him. We've just got to find it, and we've certainly found it. But I think Jim and I had this discussion earlier. I think with Kulu, his game, he's grown in confidence because of how well he's playing and how much faith the manager has clearly got in him. and his game has matured so much more now. He's such a fluid player. It doesn't matter what position you put him in, he still finds his way into multiple positions to clear up, to defend where needed, to do the crosses in. I think he has been by far the best player we've had this season, the most consistent player this season. And I think he's one of the most integral players that we've got. And I never thought I'd ever say that, but he has absolutely amazed me. He's just a wonderful player.
We sit in our front room, right, after a stream, and we have a cup of tea, and we just sit here talking Tottenham. How boring are we? We just talk Tottenham nearly all day.
I mean, it's when she's in the throes of passion and she calls you Decky. That's when you're in serious trouble, Jimbo. That's all I'll say. In fact, the question I was going to put to you, Adrian, was Decky inside or out, but maybe that was not so appropriate now.
It'd have to be Decky that I said. I wouldn't have time to actually say Kulusevski in the throes of passion. That's just sure. Ouch.
Bit of decorum, lads. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Faster than a Basuma booking, Jim. Enough of this smut. This is adult TV or adult viewing, but not in that way. Seriously, what out wide or in the middle for Decky? I mean, I think we're all agreed, aren't we, Adrian, that he's an absolutely integral part of the side.
Well, I mean, Ange said it a while back, and no one seemed to. There's certain sections don't listen. He said, "I will pick a team to win a game of football. If that means shuffling the positions in a pack, he's going to do that." And another nonsense is those that have quietened considerably. A lot of them were saying that, he's too stubborn. Really? Well, you either got a footballer philosophy or you haven't, and you stick to it no matter what, because that's your philosophy. Pep changes philosophy. Klopp changes philosophy. Arteta changes philosophy. No, they've got their styles. That's the way they go. I mean, and people start talking about, and then it's, no plan Bs and all that. I've never been a believer in plan B. I mean, even Redknapp and the others, when they used to be managed at the club, you put fresh legs on, or bring someone on who perhaps change things, make things a bit different. I don't believe in plan Bs either. So, yeah, I mean, Ange has adapted well this season, and he's given youngsters a go. I mean, how many managers would have given Johnson his debut away to Arsenal? And we drew that game. We should have won it. If we'd have lost it, could you imagine the stick he would have got? And he's played Mikey Moore, and he's given youngsters a chance. So that's if that isn't adapting, what isn't? What is?
Bringing up Graham again, AJ. I think sometimes, there's small margins sometimes in football and in life between success and failure. But Vicario's early save set the tone. Vicario was part of the foundation. I'm going to talk about Davis and Dragusin next, but Vicario's performance and his strength and his shot stopping was really part of the foundation that win was built on, AJ.
I've been hypercritical of Vicario recently. I think he is unbelievably weak from corner. Unbelievably weak. I've never seen he's worse than. Do you remember when David De Gea first went to United? How poor he was. For me, Vicario is weaker than that. But this performance, he was. I never, ever, ever got the feeling that they were going to score ever. It didn't matter. It didn't matter when Haaland was through. It didn't matter how well they worked the box, where they were having shots from. I never ever felt that he was going to concede. He was strong. He instilled that confidence, like you said, in the centre halves, and he was just everywhere. He was commanding. It's his best game in a Spurs shirt by a country, and he's had some good ones. He's had some good performances, but for me, against the calibre of opposition and away from home, his best performance by an absolute mile.
Jimbo, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't swap him for anybody in the league, any goalkeeper in the league. I love him. I love his passion. His shot stopping is unbelievable. Look, you can find a fault in every goalkeeper. For me, you've got to go back years to talk about goalkeepers that really never had a fault. In this league today, you can find a fault in all the keepers. and I just love his passion. He commands his box. He's a bit dodgy on crosses sometimes, but he did against City. I thought he was fantastic. He caught everything in the air. I love the guy. I'm a massive, massive fan of his. Maybe it's because I love Tottenham so much and he plays for us. But you could say to me now, take anybody out of any goalkeeper in the league and swap him, and I would say no. I just love the guy. I really do. You know, he's for me. He's going to be a top keeper. I just love him. I can't praise him enough.
Okay, one thing that I was really impressed with him, particularly yesterday, was how tall he stood. You know, so you see sometimes goalkeepers commit themselves, they go down, the ball goes up over them because they've gone down too early. He stayed big all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, we love Big Vic in this house. We defend Big Vic in this house. I think Graham is spot on. I think we've seen this season, if Vicario's flapped a little bit early on, it has kind of set the tone of the defence, gets a little bit nervous, but he looks solid as a rock to me. I think it's the best performance he's had in the Tottenham shirt by a mile. It's one of the best and most complete goalkeeper performances I've seen in a long time, because everything he did was spot on. He didn't really put a foot wrong. He gets criticised for his ball distribution. I thought that was excellent. He was solid. He caught the ball when he needed to catch it. I mean, he was phenomenal. And if we can get more of these performances on a regular basis, I'm not saying he's been bad, but these sort of performances on a regular basis, we have got an absolutely outstanding keeper on our hands. And I think he'll emulate Hugo Lloris for me.
Yeah, I mean, even Lloris had weaknesses.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
serious weaknesses. You know, whether you talk about distribution or his footwork. I mean, he was really weak on his right-hand side compared to his left. I mean, noticeably so. So, I've lost it. I had a question there for Adrian there, and I've absolutely lost it. Adrian, talk a bit about Vicario, and I'll remember the question.
Well, it was. I mean, we started a little bit shaky at the game, and but then our midfield got the grips of them. But it was on the just before the 10th minute that Haaland had that shot, and Vicario saved it with his leg. Right. And then what happens? Moments later, Dragerson pings the ball out to Decky on the wing, and he puts a sublime cross in. Maddison, they said he's been practicing these type of runs in training. They hadn't spoke about it before the game. He times his run perfectly, splits the centre backs. Great goal. 1-0. And so that was good. But he made quite a few. He made a few good saves there yesterday.
Yeah. Before I move on to that, the goals and what have you, I've remembered what I was going to say.
Okay.
Jim, let's get you in first on this. I mean, you're obviously the perfect match household is a big Vicario fan club, and that's great. But people forget that when Van der Sar first came to England, he was really vulnerable on crosses and on corners, and people used to knock him about a bit. And he got it sorted and became, you know, if you were looking at the great goalkeepers of the Premier League era, he would be up there.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that for me, Vicario's big weakness is on the crosses. But I mean, if you'd never seen him before and you watched yesterday's game, you wouldn't think that was a weakness, would you? I mean, he just plucked everything out of the air. Look, he's just come to the Premiership. It's completely different to what he's known, right? It's a lot more physical than where he's been. Just what did he put there?
Sorry, Jim. Yeah, I couldn't put that. I couldn't resist putting that up.
And I think the biggest thing you need in a keeper is shot stopping, and he is fantastic at that. Absolutely fantastic, and he can work on the plucking the ball out the air from corners, but that shot stopping, yeah, it's got to be a natural instinct because you've got to think in a quick second, you know. And he's fantastic at it. I absolutely love him. As you can see, he's on the wall in our house, and I wouldn't swap him for anybody. And I mean that. I wouldn't swap him.
AJ, let me bring you back in with Davis and Dragerson. Exceptional yesterday. AJ, Yeah, you are there. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. I don't think exceptional does it justice, to be fair. I would say that that was the best centre half pairing display in a Tottenham shirt this season. I think they have been that display from them was miles better than anything we've seen so far from Van de Ven and from Romero because they were both committed. You could see that they were both absolutely committed, fighting for every ball, winning every ball, and when they got the ball, they moved it quickly. None of this walking 5 yards up the pitch, standing, waiting, looking, another 5 yards up the pitch, looking, waiting. None of that crap. They that was a phenomenal display by both of them. And to be fair, I think Dragusin is a good defender, a very good defender, and I think over time he will prove to be a really, really good acquisition for us. I have always been critical of Davies, and I do believe that if we want to improve, if we want to go forwards, we need to upgrade on players like Davies. But he's been a great servant, and whether or not you rate him as being the caliber of player you think is good enough to take us to that next level, you can't fault a display like that. You can't complain. He gets on the pitch, he puts in a shift. He kept him and Dragusin were part of a defence that kept the Premier League champions at bay for 90 minutes whilst we were away. That's not something that many teams do. Like, not many teams do that at all. And considering that was our third and fourth choice centre half, I think that's nothing short of absolutely phenomenal.
I mean, Kate, hard to argue with any of that. I've got a few points I want to make on this and bring you in on, but Davis is so maligned by the fan base, and I just don't understand it.
I think the thing is with Davis is, particularly this season, every time we've called it upon him, he's been magnificent. He's the ultimate professional. He conducts himself just like Kane did at our club. You never read anything bad about him. You know, he's the captain of his country. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He gives it his all when he plays. If we're looking for an upgrade on anyone, I think we should be looking for an upgrade on Romero. You want to know the truth. I think
Agreed.
Davis and Dragusin were magnificent yesterday.
Going to talk about it later, promise you.
Sorry, I won't go into it then. I should just... but Davis and Dragusin yesterday, literally, again, a nigh on faultless performance. We went to the Ipswich game. I thought Dragusin was shocking, and I was very concerned about him. But yesterday, he was magnificent. He looked so calm and composed. Davis was phenomenal. And like you say, I think the trouble with the Tottenham fan base, and a lot of fan bases, I suppose, is that we're always looking for a scapegoat and someone to blame. And a lot of the time, it's Ben Davis. It was Eric Dyer. AJ's legged it. It was Eric Dyer, and now it's Ben Davis. But I can't fault him yesterday. I mean, I gave him a 10 out of 10 on my player ratings. I thought he was phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, Jim, I'm thinking looking back at some of the performances from Davis. Yesterday, when we beat Arsenal 3-0 to get into the Champions League, an away win at Liverpool, and all those games were built around his defensive solidity.
I think, Ian, the thing is, well, what you got to think of when you got Dragusin and you got him next to Van de Ven, right? There's two young guys together now. You put him next to Davis.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, Davis is a seasoned professional. He's been around a long, long time, right? He's a good, solid footballer, right? He's not the best defender in the Premier League, but he's a good, solid performer. He's got an old football head on his shoulders. He's a smart guy. He's the captain of his country for a reason, right? And I'm with you. He gets a lot of stick that's unwarranted. I think when he comes in, and you've got to remember this as well, he gets brought into the team and he hasn't had a lot of football, and yet he performs like he did yesterday. You know, he's a smart footballer, and he's another one that as a backup, what a player. But I'm saying as a backup, look at him yesterday. He didn't put a foot wrong, you know, against the best team, meant to be the best team in the world. He gets a lot of unwarranted stick, and he's a very, very, very good footballer without any shadow of a doubt.
I mean, Adrian, people complain about, we haven't got depth. but we've got brought in 2 international centre halves to replace 2 international centre halves. It's not that bad, is it?
No, I mean Dragison's he's had mixed games, isn't he? We've seen there's a player in there. Yesterday, like we've probably seen what we want to see a lot more of, consistency at the back. In Davis again, I mean he'll be going in the summer, so he'll be going. And Ange did say in a previous interview, which got me going a little bit. He said, "I'm not looking to." Bryn asked about the centre back situation. He said, "I'm not looking to bring in another centre back because I don't want to block the path of Ashley Phillips and Luka Vuskovic." Well, that concerns me a little bit at the moment because we need if we're consistent, which is what we've lacked all season, we haven't got stability until we get a full squad, which we haven't got yet, in my opinion. Then, we need consistency from our defenders. And great result yesterday. If you can do that at Man City, you can go anywhere and you can defend anywhere. And so defending with me, I mean, there's been far too many mistakes and preventable goals this season, as far as I'm concerned.
Porro, I mean, we talk about the goals. I mean, a couple of you have mentioned the goals and a couple of people in the chat as well. Someone mentioned about it's down to individual errors. I thought that Porro had his best game defensively yesterday. Kate, let's bring you in first on this. Principally, I thought because Decky was back helping him and in a way that Johnson doesn't do. And Dragusin seemed also to be aware of his need to cover the right back area, to be covering the right back area, something that I don't think Romero can be bothered with.
Yeah, I mean that Porro. I think he made a mistake early on. If I'm right, I've spoken so much about this game in the last 24 hours, and now my brain's muddled with facts. But I'm sure Porro made the mistake that nearly cost us a goal early on. Jim, am I right? Is that right? It rings a bell in my head.
He headed the ball back, and
That's it. Headed the ball back.
Oh yeah.
But after that, he was very solid. It gets quite a lot of stick with his defence. You know, about how defensive he is, whether he's good enough. But like I say, I think it's difficult to criticise anybody yesterday. I don't think really anyone put a foot wrong. What I liked is any mistakes that were made early on, such as Porro's, didn't make them drop their head. They just sort of thought, right, that's not happening again, and pulled their socks up and really played out of their skin. And he was excellent, and he deserved the goal, and it was a wonderful finish as well. And I love Pedro Porro. I love the fact he's so passionate about our club. He's like a little pocket rocket, and I just enjoy watching him play. I think he's a brilliant little player that's only going to get better if we can keep hold of him.
Yeah, was Porro helped yesterday by the players around him? Less exposed, Jim?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. It was. Look, they worked as a good unit yesterday. Really good unit, and it was like they was all on the same wavelength. And and to be honest, we haven't seen that a lot this season. So I don't know if they'd worked hard on it in the week, but yeah, they was. I thought they were a great unit in defence yesterday, and Porro was back defending more than usual. It seemed right near the death. He saved. He's saved one, didn't he? Could put it out for a corner. So I was going. Was it? I think Ireland had a shot. So yeah, I thought he'd done excellent yesterday. And he's another one that he's got an engine on him. He's up and down that pitch, unbelievable. I get tired watching him. You know, I thought he was good yesterday.
AJ, I've been critical of Porro's defending, but I thought yesterday he was absolutely right there and at it.
I agree, and it's obvious to see that he has one of his best games, like attacking, defending, overall display, and Romero's not on the pitch. I don't think Romero does anything to help him. A lot of the goals we have conceded this season in all competitions have come down the Porro Romero side. Now, Decky was playing wide right. He's tracking back. He's offering that protection. Dragusin is pushing over and covering for Porro, which has freed Porro up to get up the pitch. it doesn't leave us so exposed because you've got two players filling in, dropping back and doing the defensive work. Porro is a phenomenal footballer. He is a brilliant technical footballer. And in the final third, picking up the ball, making those passes, putting in the crosses, finishing like he did. He's an asset, but he's a defender first and foremost. If your defender is going to get out of the pitch, somebody needs to cover. Romero doesn't want to do that job. Romero is concerned with Romero. And yesterday you saw the difference in a centre half, a right-sided centre half that plays for the team, and a right winger that wants to drop back and help defend for the team. There's a difference between playing for yourself and playing for Tottenham Hotspur. And I don't want players at my club that want to play for themselves. If you're on that pitch and you're representing the club, you give absolutely everything. It's an honour to play for this club. So you play, you put the work in, you play as a team, you play to win, you help each other out. Romero wasn't there, and we gave one of our strongest defensive displays. So yes, I think Porro was greatly helped by his teammates, and that should be the case week in, week out. Not just Porro, but everybody. You need to be able to rely on the players around you, and what Davies and Dragustin did even more exceptional. The fact that neither one of them have had a lot of game time. They certainly haven't had enough time to build up any real sort of partnership between the two of them, and with their fullbacks on their outside. So I think what they did as a defensive unit, all of them yesterday, was absolutely top notch.
Adrian, I don't know if there's much to add, and I am going to invite all the panel to talk about Romero, because I think we've got a problem with Romero we need to address. Colin, good evening, sir. Thanks for coming on. Always good to see you. And everybody hit the like, please. And there you go, Ellie, as well. Please give us a like. It helps the show grow enormously. Adrian, Porro, you've been critical of Porro as well, but yesterday...
I've been very critical of Porro when he first come. Them games against his debuts against Leicester and Newcastle were nightmare games, and we got spanked. And he's improved. And then prior to yesterday's game, he was a bit off the ball, but he wasn't the only defender that hasn't been on point. Our whole defence has been rubbish recently, right, in certain games, right? So there was that, you know. And it's interesting, the Romero thing. I mean, my opinion only, I think Romero's our best defender by a country mile. But I've noticed with Romero that, and he did say to Ange once, like, I prefer playing with Emerson Royal by side of me, and Ange turned around and said, this is Ange's ball. There might be a bit of a lack of trust there in Porro to his right. And because I've noticed with Romero, when he progresses with the ball, he tends to pass it more to the central midfielder, which he should do because it opens up the game. Or he passes it out to left where your doggy and Maddison will be. And he doesn't send to, and I've seen Johnson in space and he ain't passed out there. And if you're a team and you're going to come and play Spurs, I'm attacking our right-hand side where Porro and Johnson are. But that wasn't the case yesterday. You know, we played so well that it didn't matter what Man City did. But I still think I agree with AJ. It's superb technique. He's got superb technique. And he's got pace, and it's a good job because it gets him out of trouble. Because his position at the time, why do defenders not look over their shoulder no more? Do they not get goal side in certain positions? You know, I mean, he can do this. This is basic stuff. When he does get caught out, he gets caught out. He's late. Against Brighton away. Well, all right, you doggy faffed at the ball in the middle for the first goal, but Porro didn't cut the cross out. You know, he couldn't cut the cross out. You know, you see things like that. But all our defenders have had errors in them. And I actually think that Romero's made the least errors personally, from what I've seen. But,
when I'll bring you in on this, Adrian. When I played fullback, I mean, your positioning point. When I played fullback, I was always taught to have my body at an angle, so that I played left back. So my left eye was on any winger coming in behind me, and my right eye was on any forward in front of me. Whereas now they seem to be totally, I can't really do it on camera, but totally squared up. So they really don't get a good perspective of what's going. Particularly the number of times Porro, for example, would be beaten by a ball coming over his head, and he wasn't aware of what's behind it.
Yeah, but it worked yesterday. I mean, he did well yesterday. We kept their players, pushed them out wide. We didn't let them penetrate through the midfield. Even you, Doggy. I mean, I love Phil Foden, but he was very quiet yesterday. He had one shot, I think, or whatever. He might have had more. But like we kept forcing them out wide, which is what you're supposed to do, and not let them try and play through our middle, you know. Sure. But Porro's a very good footballer. I always said I'd like to see him with someone behind him, but he's not a winger either. And if you're going to put him in midfield, we've got no number 6s and like five number 8s and 2 number 10s, and because Decky is a hybrid 8-10, and everyone else, Maddison is a 10, and everyone else is an 8. We haven't got a 6. We've played Basuma there, we played Bentancur there, but they're not 6s. Not in my opinion, anyway. Like, you know, so
let's talk about the goals, because there's a few more technical things, but each of those goals in their own way were fabulous goals, even if a couple of them came from Manchester City mistakes. I mean, Jim, let's bring you in first on this one again. As I think Adrian said earlier, it wasn't really a typical Spurs goal with the ball being pinged out by Dragus into Kulusevski. You know, a real counter-attack, but a real long ping. I mean, it's not really what you would expect of an Ange team.
You're muted again, Jimbo.
Jim.
Sorry, because my phone keeps dinging. We should do that a little bit more often, and let's talk about Decky's cross. If De Bruyne had done that cross, they'd be coming in their pants. You know, that cross was pinpoint.
Nice analogy.
It's absolutely pinpoint.
Just embarrassed your wife.
Not so eloquent, Jimbo.
I mean, it was just
17 seconds now, Kate.
Can you imagine if someone like De Bruyne or R9 or whatever they call him had done that cross? I mean, that was on a sixpence. I honestly, I just Decky for me is just phenomenal. I just love the guy. I think he's brilliant, and he's really coming to the fore now. And can I just go back a step and say to Adrian that I don't agree with you about Romero, Adrian. I don't think he's been our best defender. I think Van der Ven's been our best defender, but he has made a few mistakes as well. I tell you what gets up my goat about Romero. I think he's too slow with his passing. He takes too long on the ball for me. The way we play football, he's not quick enough. He needs to liven his game up a little bit. You know, that's what I think of him. And I think that he has made a lot of individual errors that have cost us this season with his lack of concentration. It's like he's got something else on his mind in some of the games.
Yeah. Madrid.
The Romero thing, anyway, when they say slow on the ball, I mean at the ground. You see, I get the overview of all the teams, both teams on the pitch, where the shape of both teams. And I get it at times, you think, move the ball a bit quicker. But you've got to have runners in midfield and runners up front. And when it's static, what's he supposed to do with the ball?
But I've seen him with the ball, Adrian, sometimes, right? Where players are running, and he's like, it's to me, it looks like he's a bit confused who to pass to. You know, he goes to kick it, then he puts his foot on the ball.
I just don't think he cares. I don't think he cares one bit.
Guys, can I mute you all, because I've got a whole session on here to carry on later. So
all right.
Do you mind if I come back to it? It's okay. Just do you mind if I come back to it?
No.
I do. I want to have a really good chat about Romero. But let's talk about the goals. Let's go back to that first goal. AJ, I've been talking about Porro, and I'll say this to anyone in the chat who hasn't had another look at it in particular. Have a look at the run that Porro makes outside of Decky, that just takes Guardiola's attention away for half a second, and let's Kulusevski just. I wish we could show it, because but we've got.
I know exactly. Yeah,
we do.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember seeing it in the game, and I think things like that it's very easy for them to go unnoticed because people don't really care about that sort of, that's playing for the team. There's nothing in it. There's nothing in it for Porro. He's not going to get the assist. He's not going to score the goal. But what he's doing is he's working for the team. He's creating that moment in the fullback's mind that gives Decky the chance to cross the ball in. Superb cross, by the way. But I don't understand how he crossed that ball in because I've got it on good authority that he's absolutely useless on the wing and offers absolutely nothing. So I don't know what happened there. I'm genuinely confused about it. But yeah, Porro's work, the confusion, the doubt that he creates in the fullback by making that run. To be honest, that ball that Decky puts in, it's going where it's going anyway. You could have put 10 extra men on that pitch and that ball's still finding. It was laser guided. And what a brilliant take by Maddison. That run, I've been a massive critic of Maddison. Massive critic. And once again, this was his best game in a Spurs shirt. But not even close. He fought for everything. He's got the talent. He's got the skill. We know that. He's got great feet. He can pick the ball up. He can ping it. But one thing that Maddison lacks week in, week out is drive and grit. And he wanted to be on the end of that ball. He wanted the ball. He wanted to receive it. He didn't care whether it was tight space. He didn't care who he had on him. He wanted to receive the ball. And he was willing to drive at the defence and create and take his opportunities. And he did. So excellent for the first goal. Brilliant cross. Great run by Porro. And absolutely amazing finish. Great run, and amazing finish by Madders.
Yeah. Adrian, the system, as I saw it, gave Maddison the freedom to run between the lines, to get behind the Man City defenders, knowing that there was plenty of cover behind him. And what a run, what a cross, what a touch, what a finish.
Yeah, and it worked before, hasn't it? We've seen it when a manager who never adapts, right, moved Decky inside this season, right, and seen what he can do. And Decky was being used more as the battering ram up front, where Maddison was playing further forward before. So he's not getting kicked in the ankles so much. He's still taking a few late challenges, Maddison, but you've got Decky up there putting pressure on the back four, on the opposing team's back four, keeping them well occupied. It's giving Maddison a bit more time. And he's not a player that needs a lot of time on the ball. If you give him space, he will kill you, right? You know what I mean? But long may it continue, and long may his form. He show us form like that. Consistency is what we're looking for, aren't we?
Yeah. And Kate again got behind the defence, but picking up that little ball from Sonny for the second, and another sublime finish.
Yeah, I think every goal yesterday was sublime in its own right. But yeah, the second goal was just. He said it. He controlled it with the right, scored with his left. It was just the dink. It was beautiful. It really was. It feels weird. Normally we'd be talking and gushing like this about Manchester City, and to be saying it about our team, it feels great. But I think every single goal, the build up and everything was beautiful in its own right. And I agree with AJ. I think Madders probably had his best game in the Spurs shirt. I think we need to get him a birthday cake every single match so that he plays out of his skin, because it's obviously works for him.
Yeah. AJ, talking about that second goal, a great contribution by Sonny, but that really is about all I can remember him doing in the game.
Yeah, with Son. I was overly critical of Son. I've been trying to judge him on the player he has been for the past few years, and he's not that player anymore. You can see it. He's not got the overall pace, and he certainly can't sustain it. He's not going to be making those sorts of runs every game. But he is still chipping in his figures. He's still assisting or scoring. I think it's every other game. So he's still contributing, which is good. It's not as dynamic as it was. But Maddison for that second goal, he gives the ball to Son. Son found him. It was a nice little ball. but the speed of thought Madders had to have in that position, once he receives that ball back, he takes the ball with his right. He sees the kid, so and there's not much. It's tight, right? He's just past it. He makes a run through past the defender. He receives the ball, and the keeper's on him before he knows. He's got the wherewithal to take the ball on his right, see the keeper come in, and dink it slightly over the keeper with his left. To have the skill to do that is one thing. To have the quickness of mind to do that is something. Bearing in mind, he hasn't been brilliant this season, Madders. He's had some decent games. He's had some really bad performances. And to find himself in that position, through his hard work, by the way, he wasn't there through luck. He was there because he worked it. He deserved to be there. To be in that position and to be able to put that ball in the back of the net, that's not easy. That is very difficult. And he made it look easy. So fair play to him.
Adrian, when the teams came off the match, Maddison and Son, the final whistle went to the bench, and Maddison as man of the match. The camera flashed on him, and it flashed onto him and Sonny. And Madders had a smile as wide as the Thames estuary, and Sonny looked a little bit down. I mean, I'm just wondering if you pick that up. But does Sonny maybe know that at this level his days are behind him?
He's still, I think, the fifth fastest player in the team or in the league. I thought he gave Walker difficulties yesterday. I mean, then he gets that sublime assist, right, for Madders' second goal, which was, because it just opened up the goal for Maddison, even though Maddison still had a lot to do. And it was brilliant what he did, touch, goal, So most players, Werner had been there, that had gone over Rose Edge, you know what I mean? You've got to have players
No. He got an assist, Adrian. Fair dues to Werner.
I'm going to come on to Werner.
No, I don't get all this right. And I mean, Ange seems to be managing Sonny. He's obviously still coming back because the games he's given him an hour in these games. Have you noticed? It's been like an hour. He wasn't knackered when he come off. He didn't look injured. But at the same time, Ange is thinking, well, let's go. And he did the right thing because Werner roasted. I mean, Walker, he hesitated. I think he thought Werner was going to cut inside. And Werner sensed that and he went down the outside, didn't he? And he just hit the cross in. He didn't raise his head or nothing. He just hit the cross in. And Johnson goes and gets his 8th goal, our top goal scorer of the season. And, and we score. It's just a shame that.
We're talking about we started now, so we'll talk about the 4th goal before the 3rd goal. But that's fine because we'll go on. Kate, is that you wanted to come in there?
I just wanted to say, I think it was harsh what you said that you don't remember Sonny doing anything yesterday. I thought he had an excellent game. I thought he worked his absolute socks off.
Yeah.
Not only for the assist, he did that curling shot, which was so close to going in. He set up Solanke for another chance, linked up with Kulu for the 3rd goal. I thought he was excellent, and I think Ange took him off exactly the right time because I think he did look a bit knackered, to be fair. But I thought he had a really good game.
I might be being harsh. I just maybe by his own standards. What is he now, Sonny? 32, 33? 32. But I might be being unfair because, just remembering those moments, those passes from Kane running through with his face and what have you. But let's talk about that 4th goal. I'll come back to the 3rd because I want to talk about Solanke, the to me one of the great unsung heroes of the team at the moment. But I just loved. I mean, Werner. God, we're all critical of him, and no wonder. But with what he did for that 4th goal was just superb. I mean, the way he took one of the quickest players in the league on in a foot race and mashed him, and then put over an inch perfect cross for the goal. We all criticise him, but when he does that, Werner, you can see why Ange likes him. Jimbo, let's bring you in on that.
I think with Werner, I think he seems to play better when he don't have to think. When he just does it. When he just does it, when he seems to get a bit of time to think, it seems to be when he messes up. But he showed that he can still put the turbos on, because he absolutely roasted Walker. And look, let's be a little bit even it out a bit. Walker had played the whole game, and it was near the end of the match, and Werner had just come on, but he still roasted him no matter what. You know, he was the player there, and he was the player he roasted. So look, I'm not one of these people that gets down on Werner. I never slag him off, Ian. It's not my way to do that. Sometimes I see him and he does things, and I think, oh my God, what's he doing on the pitch? And then other times I see him and I think I can see why Ange plays him, because some of his runs are just are phenomenal. It's just his finishing. So,
and some of his crosses as well, Jimbo.
Yeah, his crosses. He's put some crosses in this season that have been fantastic. Like yesterday's one was pinpoint, as Adrian said. And I don't know if you remember, Johnson said once that Ange has been working on him to get into that back post. So Werner knew if he got it in there, he would be in there, and he was. So, but I mean, I don't like coming down hard on players, even if they don't have good games. You know, at the end of the day, Werner scored over 100 goals in the Bundesliga, right?
Yeah.
So the man can play football. You don't score 100 goals in any league unless you can play football. If you score 100 goals on a Sunday league, it means you can play football. So I don't like coming down on him, and he's done some good things for us this season in some of the games.
I mean, AJ, I think my point about Werner, and I know everybody looks at it, well, he can't, the proverbial cow's ass with a banjo, but the reality is no one in the squad gets into the positions behind a fullback with the regularity that Werner does, and that's what Ange needs from his wingers.
Werner he's not even polarizing. A lot of people, like a lot of the fan base, genuinely don't like him, and I don't dislike him. I don't think we should have him. I don't think he's the right player for us. But when he's there and he's playing in the Spurs shirt, you get behind your team, right? If somebody's representing your team and they're on the pitch and they're contributing, then you support them. You want them to do well. Werner works well in the Ange system. Ange likes width, and Werner, if you watch him, he's never drifting in midfield. He's always on that touchline. He always is that wide, looking to receive the ball, to make the runs in, to stretch your fullbacks, to open up the defence, to create the space for the inverted fullbacks, for your number 8s to push on, your number 10s. That doesn't happen with any other player, especially as regularly as it does with Werner. So Werner works really well for the team, but his end product is well below what it should be. His shooting is terrible, let's be honest, but he does put in some very, very, very good crosses. He doesn't get the ball anywhere near as much as he should. For whatever reason, I've seen it time and time again. He's out there waiting to receive the ball, and you're thinking, just knock the ball over to him, just put it into space, he'll get there. But the ball doesn't come. Right? It doesn't come for whatever reason, whether it gets recycled and goes back to the defence and then goes back out to Johnson or whatever happens. Werner gets himself into space regularly and it's not utilised. That's not his fault. Okay, is he going to put in a decent cross? There's a chance. Is he going to score a goal? Very unlikely. But when he's in that space and he's got the fullback isolated, play the ball into him. Give him a chance to create something for the team. Because as we've seen against City, against Kyle Walker, the fastest right back there is, he got absolutely cooked. Werner ripped him a new one. As a matter of fact, I'm quite sure Walker should have been thrown in the police because that was a violation. Like, he absolutely dusted him. And there are not many people, I don't even think Kylian Mbappe can say that he has beaten Walker as easily as Werner beat him. So,
absolutely.
Uh,
I mean, give him a chance. Like, if he's going to contribute, which he did, just give him a chance.
Yeah, maybe that's his role as an impact player, Kate.
Look, yeah, I mean, I was going to say, when you have a sub, all you want him to do is make an impact, and he did that. I was delighted for him. I like him. I really, really do. But I still hope that we send him back. I think we need better in the long run. But while he's here, I will always support Timo. And like I say, you can't ask more from him. He brought him on. He absolutely roasted Carl Walker, which was brilliant to see, and crossed in perfectly for Johnson. And as a substitute, you can't ask for any more than that. So, you know, he's another one that gets scapegoated. I've seen us lose a game and everyone blamed Werner before, and Werner wasn't even the worst player on the pitch.
Sure.
So,
No, absolutely.
But he got slated one game, and I thought he was probably the best player on the pitch.
that's what I mean. So,
I mean, I sat here one morning, right, and I put on Werner's goals that he scored in the Bundesliga, and that guy scored some absolute banging goals. I mean, some of the goals he scored are off the planet. So the guy does know where the net is.
Jim, that's in the Bundesliga, mate. It's only the Premier League that counts.
He's still
been fantastic, Jimbo.
Jim, it's only the Premier League that counts. I've heard it. It's on good authority. If you've not done it in the Premier League, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I want to talk about the third goal. Actually, what I'd like to talk about Manchester City and how all their players are suddenly getting old together. But this isn't a Man City show. We've got a lot of Tottenham stuff to talk about. But that third goal, when you play as the lone forward in a place like Manchester City, and you've got to hold the ball up and try and relieve the pressure, that's a tough gig. And I thought Solanke was again brilliant, Jim, and the way he held the ball up. And I was so pleased. If he wasn't going to score, that he had a goal involvement. And I mean, he had a couple of efforts, but you know, he's holding the ball, looking up, putting it perfect to Porro to crash into the net and wrap the game up. I was so pleased for him to at least get an assist.
He has been, without any doubt, a massive impact on this team since he's come here, and I was one of the ones that was rooting for him to come over Tony. I said to Kate that he'll fit into this team perfect the way he plays football, and I was having a discussion with someone this morning on stream, someone in the chat, and they were saying he doesn't score enough, and my answer to that was, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's scoring the goals. If you look at our team, the goals are coming from all over the place, right? You don't need one person banging in all the goals. As long as the goals come, it doesn't matter where they come from. And he brings, if you look at Johnson's goals, he's had a lot to do with Johnson's goals, pulling players away, giving Johnson the space. He holds the ball up well. The ball doesn't bounce off him. Someone passes to him. Doesn't matter how hard it's coming at him. He controls it. He's strong. They can't get the ball off of him. You know, he's a massive, massive part of our team now, and he's another one that I think was a fantastic buy. I really do. And if he gives us 10 to 15 goals, which I think he will easy, right? He's done it. That for me, he's done his job with all the other work that he does. He comes back and fights for the ball, like in defence, in midfield. You know, he's just a workhorse. Lovely player, great player.
Adrian, when we did streams in the summer, you talked about we needed to score, and you'll know the numbers. How many goals we needed to score to be up there.
Yeah. Well,
and Jim, the reason I'm bringing you in here is because Jimbo has said it doesn't matter where the goals come from, and the goals are coming from all over the park. So the fact if Solanke's occupying players or assisting, if he doesn't score 30 goals, it doesn't matter. In fact, you can get too reliant on Harry Kane to score 30 goals and think, well, he's scoring them, I don't have to.
Yeah, but when we challenged for the lead on the Pochettino, you had the desk, you had Dele, Eriksen, Son and Kane. Son and Kane were getting over 40-odd goals each. Kane was getting 30 goals a season, right? And then you had Eriksen chipping in, and Dele, I think, during that 16-17, he was on 17 goals already before we played Arsenal and beat them 2-0 at the Old Lane, right?
Yeah.
And the problem I have is, all right, you keep Werner as an impact sub, but that's it. And then you get rid, let him go in the summer or January or whatever. Because if we've got, you know, ambitions of winning the league, since 1992, the inauguration of the league, it then took, at that stage, it took about 86 goals minimum to win the league. But Man City have raised the bar. There's a few seasons they've scored over 100. And like in the last season, Arsenal got 90 goals, right, and finished second. When you look at our team, where we're getting 90 goals from, we're not. It's that simple. We're not going to get the 90 goals, you know. And we need is I've said it. I don't care if we've got Ronaldo on one wing and Messi on the other. If they don't score goals, I don't want them in my team. And the thing, Werner's problem, if he could score goals on a regular basis, you know, he'd be £100 million player. That's what Chelsea bought him for. And they tried him through the middle and they tried him on the wing, right? And they thought, okay, we need to upgrade here. Spurs will upgrade. I support all the players, all the managers, whether I've liked them in the past or not while they're at the club. Wish them well when they're gone. But he's not the answer for us. He has an impact at times on the pitch.
Who's that? Solanke?
No, Werner.
Werner. Werner, sorry.
Adrian, I don't know where you were. We've moved on from. I'm talking about.
Oh, sorry. If you're on Solanke, he was one player. Fun enough, I watched so many videos of players coming through, and Solanke was one I didn't when he came in. But he's like Jim said, he's perfect for the system, and he's like Decky. He's hard to get off the ball as well when he's on it, and he will dribble with it and try and like power his way through. Holds the ball up very well. I mean, the ball sticks with him. Nice little touch. He wasn't selfish. He's got that awareness that he turned, passed it back. See Porro coming in like a train, right? Give it back to him, and then Porro smashes in the third. No, I'm Solanke's perfect. And now, but you got other teams, and they must be a nightmare to play against Solanke and Decky.
Yeah. Hey, Adrian, we've scored 27 goals in 12 games.
Yeah. I was just looking it up.
Well, that's what I've done because I thought, hang on, Adrian, where are you here? Let's get the.
I think we've scored more than anyone.
We have.
We are top scorers. We've got the best. I think we got the best goal difference, unless Liverpool got better than us.
Liverpool got better than us. They're the only ones.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, on what we've done, we will score 86 goals, 85.5 goals. That's dividing 27 by 12, multiplying it by 38.
I mean, there's been improvement. I mean, Solanke's got 6 in 6 in all competitions. He's got 6. I mean, Johnson's got 8. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah.
And Son's got 3 and 4 assists, right? That's just off memory, right? So the forward line is functioning better, but we need more. We need more goals. We're still going to have to score more. And then, like, you got to look at the midfield. I mean, last year Romero got 5 goals, right, which was good. And now, at least at the beginning of the season, Bentancur's chipped in. The midfield have got to chip in with goals. If we've got any ambitions of ever winning the league, they've got to chip in. And so they'll have to do that sort of work.
I seriously think we're at least a couple of years away from mounting a league challenge. But if we could get a cup this year. Kate, what's your take on Solanke?
Oh, I think he's marvellous. I do. Adrian said the word I was going to use. He's so unselfish. He doesn't care that he's not going to score the goal as long as we score a goal as a team. And I think
team player.
Yeah, 100% a massive team player. He nearly scored himself. Got the assist for the Porro goal. He's a machine. He's just so strong. And I call him a chihuahua, which is stupid, really, because chihuahuas are tiny. But he don't want to give that ball up no matter what. And if he does, he's going to fight and get it back. I think he's what Tottenham have been lacking. And I know he's getting criticised for not scoring goals. And I get it because that's what he was brought in for. But I do truly believe the goals will come. But at the minute, he's doing enough elsewhere where I don't think he can be criticised at all. It's not like he's missing chance after chance in front of goal. Then I can understand it. But he's setting up other players. He's just been such a big part of this Ange system. I think it's turned out he's been an incredible buy, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. AJ, I mean, one of the things I picked up from that goal was when the ball went, the ball was overhit. But Solanke, you think, I need a goal. He turns in maybe onto his weaker left foot and tries to score, but he doesn't. His head comes up, he sees Porro, waits the ball into Porro, and Porro gets the goal. And he's not worried the fact that he's not scored the goal. He's made the assist, given the ball to a player in a better position, and bang.
Exactly that. And that's what I want to see as a Spurs fan. I want to see a player that wants the team. You could bang in 20 goals in a season and your team could get relegated. We've seen it happen before. I think didn't Kevin Phillips wasn't he the highest scorer and I think they got relegated that season or very close to. So it happens, right? If you're selfish, you can score the goals, but if you're not thinking about the team, Solanke is perfect for this role, and that's why he was signed. Andrew's system relies heavily on the press. There is nobody in any league in the world that presses the way Dominic Solanke presses. I can't believe that man isn't tested after every single game. The energy levels he has, and as Jim said, he's always back helping the defence. He's always up top giving someone's aim. He's chasing down lost causes. He's cutting off passing lanes. He's working his arse off. This from a man that hasn't had a pre-season with us, so came in.
No.
Yes, he's had a pre-season, but he didn't have a pre-season with us. He came in cold. He's had to learn the system and what's expected of him whilst playing it. He got injured, but he has 6 goal contributions in 10 appearances for us. Unless I'm mistaken, I believe that was the number. Somebody can check that out for me, but I don't think that's too bad. We're scoring more goals than anyone else, right? It's working. How can you be so negative towards a player that works his socks off consistently in every game? Regardless of what's happening, regardless of who we're playing or whether or not we're playing well or poorly, he's the one player I see chasing everything, closing down, and the goals will come for him. The goals will come. But I'd rather have a player who's unselfish, who's working his ass off for the team and trying to lay on goals for his teammates.
Yeah.
Rather than someone that's like, no, I'll do it. I mean, when the choice was between Solanke or Ivan Toney, you've got Solanke that works for the team, and you got Toney that works for himself.
Yeah.
I know who I was picking, and the player that I picked came to Tottenham, and the other one has gone wherever he's gone, doing pretty much nothing, I think, at the moment. So,
But the issue I have is, the front three are scoring well, right? But it isn't enough. We know we need another number 9, excluding Lancashire. I think it's going to be a start. 23 goals in 22 games last season for the under 21s. But we need a number 9 because Richarlison's not the deal, is he? So we're going to need another number 9. And if we're talking wing positions, all right, Sonny will be with us next year. I'm glad we got Mikey Moore. I could go on about this kid for ages. I just love him to death, right? But I mean, but we still need more goals. We need other wings that can score goals in this team as well, because we've seen just what's happened when we lost a couple of defenders this season. The squad looks bare, right? Now, unless Ange is true to his word and is going to bring in one of them young centre backs, and both of them look excellent prospects. They're both built like outside toilets. You know what I mean? Then we know we badly need. We can see we didn't do enough work in the summer. We're exposed at left back. We need a quality left back. I hope we get Dorgu from. I hope we get him. It's like we need more goals, but we need them in more positions up in the forward line. We need 6 forwards that can score.
So just quickly, I'm going to say one bit about Solanke. I went to the I don't, because I live in Scotland, I don't get to see all the games. I'm hoping to see the next couple, but Solanke against Qarabag when Dragusin was sent off, Bergvall had to get taken off. He worked and he worked and he worked. I mean, honestly, sometimes you have to go to be at a game to actually see that. I think we caught up at that game, Adrian.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
What a shift he put in. I mean, honestly, it's a miracle he could walk off the pitch the amount of work he did. But anyway, look, let's. Whoops, what have I done there? Sorry, let's get the banners back. Couple of points then. Let's go round. There were a lot of contenders for man of the match. The general consensus is that it was Maddison, but Maddison or Kulusevski, and people in the chat can have a say. Jim, let me ask you this first then.
Well, I give it to Maddison, but it's.
Hang on, I think, have you frozen on me, Jim?
No. Am I?
I can hear him.
I can hear him.
Right. I lost you. Okay, sorry. Who did you give it to?
That's because you live in Scotland.
The signal doesn't get. Yeah.
I give it to Madison
Yeah.
because I thought to myself, he'd been left out of the team. He'd been taken off as sub a few games. He hadn't been picked in the England team, so and he come back with a bang, absolute bang, and showed us that what Madison can do. So I give it to Madison, but it was a very difficult one, Ian. There was like you could have given it to loads of people on the pitch. You know, there was at least 6 or 7 that I thought could have got it, but I give it to Madison because of all the stuff in the background with him, with not being picked for England, not playing, getting pulled off a sub quite a few times, and he started him and he was phenomenal. So that's why I give it to Madison.
So you're giving it to Madison,
Yeah.
AJ?
I think Madison was very, very good. I think by far his best performance in the Spurs shirt. But for me, I thought Kulu. I would have personally given it to Kulu, even though apparently I got told I was wrong for that. But you know, an opinion apparently can be wrong. Anyway, I personally just the way Kulu plays, what he offers, and I agree with everything Jim just said about Madison. But Madison was in that position because of his poor performances. Kulu was banged in great performance after great performance after great performance in loads of games this season. And I would have given it to Kulu. I prefer the way Kulu plays. I love the way he works his socks off. I love the way that he is always running, always working, always looking to be part of what's going on. So for me, I would have picked Kulu.
Okay, one apiece. Kate?
I thought Madders was sensational, but I would have given it to Kulu. And I think had he have actually got a goal, that time when he was running towards the keeper, he could have passed it left to Sonny, but he went for goal. I think had he have scored that, he would have got it. I just thought everything fabulous about our performance, creativity-wise, went through Kulu. So I would have given it to him. But as Jim said, it could have gone to, I mean, Vicario for me was a prime man of the match candidate. But out of those two, for me, I would have given it to Kulu.
Yeah. Adrian?
I'm not one for sitting on the fence, as you guys know. I mean, I gave it to Madisevsky.
That's very, very good. Yeah, I mean, it was a spell. I mean, I
think the team should have got the man of the match award, not an individual. Actually, you know.
I mean,
Madisevsky. Other than that, you know.
I thought Decky was just sensational, and I mean they were all good. Vicario, we haven't mentioned Udogie had a very good game. The two central defenders, Biss and so I mean it was a total performance. It's so rare to see a Spurs team like that where everybody plays that well, and no wonder we gave a battering to probably the best team in world football. Okay, so we're just about giving it to Decky, but it was close. Going forward, Kate, let's bring you in first on this one. Engine game management, I think, was excellent. The way the subs, the formation, the way the way he set them out, the way he kept them set up. So, what lessons are there because let's be honest, we are consistently inconsistent, and that's not an Ange problem. It's not a Levy problem. That's been a Spurs problem since I started going in the late 60s. But this team's got a lot of good players, and the league, apart from Liverpool, is actually very, very open. So, what lessons are there for us to learn going forward? Particularly, go on.
Well, I was just reading what Nita said, and I think Pape Sarr is the glue that holds it together a lot of the time. So I think Pape Sarr and Kulusevski at the minute have got to start in midfield. That's two of the lessons, I think. And I think you've got the likes of Madders, you've got Bentaker. I know you've got Basuma as well, who's been brilliant, but I think Pape Sarr has shown again he is phenomenal, and is just the glue that holds everything together. I think lessons have got to be learned that maybe Van de Ven and Romero aren't the be all and end all. There's something not right there. I think, I'm sorry, I know Adrian's a big fan, but I think Romero's head has been turned. And I think Van de Ven's feeling that as well. I think he's lost that trust in his partner in crime, if you like. I'd sell Romero in a heartbeat if we could get Tapsoba to replace him. And I think we've learned that Kulu can play on the wing if he needs to, with Madders more in the centre. I mean, Ange has been criticised for his in-game management. Sometimes he does get it wrong, but he is only 18 months into his tenure, whatever it is. You know, we've got to give this guy time. I'm sick to death of people screaming for him to go out. I said to Jim, we don't win anything. Tottenham aren't a team anymore that win anything. So why do we want him out? It's not like we're sitting here going, we win the league every year, and yet we're sitting down in sixth. We don't. So why not just bite the bullet and stick with this guy? Because if we don't, we're going to have Mason managing us. And what, you know, even if it's just to the end of the season, this guy's got to be backed. He's got to be given time. The fans have got to be patient. Spurs have been notoriously inconsistent for years and years, in my opinion. And yeah, I just think we know that we've seen now that Ange Ball works, whether people want to say it's Ange Ball or not. Ange was in charge, so it's Ange Ball as far as I'm concerned, and it worked. So give the guy time and back him, and I do believe we're going the right direction.
Yeah. AJ, as I say, the formation was a little bit different yesterday. The way they were set up was a little bit different. What does Ange do going forward when he sees him playing a slightly different formation, personnel deployed differently, and he absolutely annihilates Manchester City?
I think my biggest criticism of Ange is that, I mean, and who the hell am I? Yeah, he's the manager of a Premier League team. I'm just a goofball that watches and supports the club. So, but I think one of my biggest criticisms of him is that he's never proactive or rarely proactive in his substitutions. He spends so much time waiting and waiting and waiting. We've seen him go, okay, half time, Star, you're coming on. Like, and it changes the game. We've seen him tweak systems at half time and it changes games. And then we've seen other games where he's just stood there with his hands in his pockets. It's all falling down around him and he's not doing anything. So, and that drives me insane because I'm like, hang on a minute. Last week, you changed the outcome of the game through making one substitution. Like, I want to see some more consistency from him in that respect. I want to see him. That's not working. We've played 60 minutes now. It's not working. Let's do this. Let's change this. Let's get somebody else on rather than wait for it to fall apart. I want to see more proactive rather than reactive. And I think if he does that, if he does that and adds that to his game, I think he's a good manager. It's, as Kate was saying, it's very early days, 18 months. I don't understand why there are some fans that are a fan of this rinse and repeat cycle of get a manager in, sack them after 18 months, get a new manager in, and then complain that we're not winning anything and we're not consistent. How can you have consistency when you're an inconsistent club, when you're getting a manager in every 18 months? It doesn't work, does it? You have to have a solid foundation. You have to have someone reliable at the helm, someone that knows what he's doing, someone that you've instilled your trust in to build a team and to go out there and compete and let him do his job. And we're not doing that. We're calling for his head. We want his head on the chopping block just to have the next manager come in and have exactly the same thing happen that has happened year on year on year.
Jim, I think you're in the same boat. You're not screaming for Ange out, are you?
No, not in a million years. I'm screaming for Ange in. I love Ange. I love the way he plays football. And you got to remember that this guy's come into a club that was in such disarray from top to bottom. You know, he's had to change everything to do with his club. And one season's not enough, Ian. I mean, if anybody thinks that the guy was going to walk into Tottenham, right, and we was going to win trophies straight away, and they're off their head. It just wasn't never going to happen. Not unless we had a bit of luck in one of the cups. That was the only way it was going to happen. He needs to get his philosophy across. He needs to change things behind the scene. He's got to get Levy thinking in a different way. I mean, that's a job and a half on its own.
Yeah.
So he's got to change. You've got to look at the big picture, the whole picture of it, right? We've got to give him. I mean, people were saying to me, "When's it going to be enough for you?" Right? I will make at the end of the season. I'll give my opinion, but even then, right? I think he still needs longer. I do. This club was. I mean, it was in such disarray when he came in. And I think he's doing a fantastic job. And I said to Kate, the thing with Ange at the minute, it's like he's on a scale, and it could tip one way, tip the other way, right? Because the football's been bad at times, but it's been sublime at other times. But he's got to tip it the right way, and I've got confidence he can do that. We've had some bad performances, but we've also had some incredible performances as well. When you look back at some of the games, and he needs to get it over to them that they can't have them bad games. They can't walk on the pitch and think that we could just roll over. We can roll Ipswich over, because I've said it many, many times. No matter who you play in the Premier League, it's a hard game. Look today, Liverpool, they nearly drew with Southampton.
Yeah,
and I mean, we watched that game, and it could have gone either way. There's not an easy game in the Premier League, so we've got to give this guy time. We've got, as fans, right, of this club that we love, right, we need to back the players, back the manager, not come down on them. It's easy to support a team when you're winning, right, but it's hard to support a team when you're losing, but that's the time they need you to support them.
Yeah. I mean, if the Ipswich game, you talked about the Southampton game, I don't know if you saw the Ipswich game, but if it was boxing,
I did,
and the referee had to hold up the hands of one of the teams, you'd have given it to Ipswich on point.
Ipswich, yeah.
Adrian, I think the panel probably a bit boring if you're watching, but I think none of us are Ange outers here. We all agree that you can't build a successful club and a successful team constantly changing the manager. But what does Ange need to do what lesson does Ange need to learn from Ipswich and yesterday?
I'm fully Angian, because I don't want to go for the rinse and repeat, because we need to get stability in the club, and with stability comes consistency, and that's what we need in performances. But there's been no conversation at board level about Ange's future as this club. That comes from Ben Jacobs, right? They haven't had a discussion because they're in it with him for the season. So Ange will be with us all season. Fan base can be as bipolar as they want on all issues to do with the club, players, managers, and all that. But we're not the ones who make those decisions, and it's not going to happen. Angie's going nowhere. What has he learned? Well, what we've all learned is that if you look back at last season, when we had the 8 wins and the 2 draws, we had a midfield of Saab, Basuma, and Madison, and Decky was out on the right. So we've learned, or we think we've learned, because we need to see it again, that the lineup yesterday got the best out of James Madison. Now, we need to see it again, because the lineup may fail against another team, who knows? But there was more work rate, there was more pace in that team, and that's the thing, pace. And like Johnson, you can always bring him on. I mean, we know Ange likes to play 2 wide, pacey wingers, so that's why Johnson's been playing a lot of these games, and he's in good form with 8 goals. But it doesn't mean you can't bring him on the hour mark, Johnson. He's still a kid, right? And I would, for certain games, I would stick with his system. When you're talking about playing away from home, you need Decky doing what he's doing. You need Solanke's what he's doing to hold the ball up. So defensively, it helps out more. It helped Porro out more. So Porro benefited from the system yesterday.
Yeah, I said that earlier.
And so did Madison. I thought Udogie had his best game in a long while. Because he's been poor. He didn't have a pre-season. He was injured coming into the season, and he struggled. A couple of games, John, Man United away 3-0, but he's been poor. So he was good. So I think Ange will have learned that this lineup is probably the most solid lineup. The only person you could change really is Basuma for Bentancur. We got back to his pre-ACL injury best, in my opinion, and now we've got to lose him. But hopefully they'll get that ban overturned, because what happened to, we could talk about that another time, what happened to Mendy was like a joke, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's learned a lot, and he's reverted back to where he was, back to type at the beginning of last season, and it worked. It didn't just work though, did it? It was amazing. It was an amazing watch. Yeah. So he'll know that, and obviously, we've got a lot of games. He will rotate the squad, obviously, but for the more, or say who you class as being a harder game, they're also hard anyway, as Jim alluded to. But for certain games, say games that have increased in importance, I think you play that team. You play that team you played yesterday, but obviously you're going to have Romero and VDV back in the equation.
Gonna talk briefly about Roma, because obviously you've got a show Tuesday, so I'm not going to steal all your thunder. But Romero, we've all spoken about Romero. It's come up in the chat. AJ, what do we do with Romero?
Sell him as soon as possible. If not January, then in the summer. He phones it in. For a player of his caliber, for a defender as highly touted as he is, a World Cup winner, you don't expect the brain farts that man has on a consistent basis. The lackadaisical, what should I do? Where should I go? Who am I passing to? Like, it looks like he can't be bothered. I said months ago, the interest from Real Madrid, I think, has turned his head, and it has. Like, nobody will convince me otherwise until I start seeing regular top performances from him, which I don't think we're going to see. Yes, he's a great defender, but what is the point in having a defender who's an A-grade defender who puts in C-grade performances when you could have a B-grade defender that puts in B-grade performances all the time? Yeah, consistency, reliability, these are the things you need from a centre-half, and we're not getting them from Romero. We're just not. When he was playing with Dyer and the things were going wrong, it was everybody that didn't like Dyer. Dyer's crap, Dyer's rubbish. Bayern Munich wanted him, and he plays regularly for Bayern. He puts in good performances for Bayern. Romero's still at Spurs, and guess what? Van der Ven has got him out of trouble lots, but guess what? There's been issues with Van der Ven. They're still leaking silly goals. Whose fault is it this time? Is it Van der Ven's? If we put Dragusin with Romero, is it Dragusin's fault? If we put Davies with it, how many defenders have we got to get through before people start realising that Romero is not the World Cup superstar, the shining beacon of defending that people are claiming that he is? He is a good defender. When he can be bothered, he's brilliant, but he just can't be bothered. I don't want that in my team.
Jim, I see you shaking your head, so it must be you to come in now.
No, I disagree with 3/4 of what you said there, Adrian. Sorry, AJ. No, he's a good defender, right? And he's going through.
I didn't say it wasn't.
No, let me finish. He's going through a bad spell for some reason, right? That's the thing about football. People are too quick to kick people out when they're going for a bad spell. Look at Kulu; he went for a really bad spell, and half the fan base were calling for him to be sold. And look at him now. No, I think that he needs to be worked with Ange, and I think he can get him back to what he was. And he's had some fantastic games for us over the last few seasons. He's AJ, and I just think, no, don't be so quick to kick him out of the club. Let Ange work with him and see where we can end up with him. He's a World Cup.
Can I just quickly say one thing?
I want to bring Clayton.
All I was going to say is, this isn't a snap judgment. I referenced when he was playing with Dyer and the inconsistencies in his game then, and how it got labelled it was Dyer's fault. So I think he's a very good defender. I think he's a very, very, very good defender, and he is one of the best when he can be bothered. Of late,
well, that's up to Ange. That's up to Ange to get him back on track. I'm not one for just the player has a bad spell, get rid of him. Let Ange work with him and see if he can get him back on track. And then if he can't, and then it's time to sell him.
Kate, do you agree with Jimbo or AJ?
I don't agree with Jimbo at all. Sorry, Jimbo. Thing is with me, I don't think it's a case of Ange needs to work with him, getting back on track. I think Romero has lost interest in playing for Tottenham. He shows absolutely no interest. He's lackadaisical. He turns his back. He's cost us so many points this season. I'm sick to death of the sight of him. He led us all into a false sense of security that he changed. And his discipline's definitely improved since he's become vice captain. But I think his attitude stinks. And I'd sell him as soon as possible and get someone else in the door. And I don't disagree that he's a good defender. I just don't think he wants to be here. And I don't want players at my club that don't want to play for my club.
Adrian?
I disagree. I think he's a Rolls Royce of a defender. He's our best defender, not just our best defender by a country mile. On the ball and the stats, if you went to every stat last season, even alone, his stats were 2/3 better than Saliba's at Arsenal. And everyone was raving about. And that's all the stats, not cherry picking one or two. And this season, well, name the goals he's been at fault for. He was upfield a couple of times when we conceded, and we had more than enough defenders to deal with the problems at the back in the box. They just weren't proactive.
He was in fault. He was at fault for one of them at Newcastle. That's the one that sticks in my memory.
What, the first one?
I think I can't remember if it was the first or second.
The second one, when your doggy wasn't tight to Murphy, you had Romero in line with him, who was playing at left centre back in that game. And then you had Dragerson, who was playing everyone on side. And you had Porro, who went in line with the other two defenders.
He wasn't. He was.
No, I would agree with the fact that he's the experienced defender. He should marshal the back four.
Of course he should. That's what I said at the
so
time.
Should the goalkeeper, right? So I'd lay responsibility on him for that. Your doggy should have been tighter to Murphy anyway on that goal, right? And it's just my opinion. I don't see this where his head's dropped. I mean, when he done his ligaments in his toe and said he didn't want to come off.
Let me put this back to you, because I'm very much in the Kate camp on this.
Okay.
I think he's a great defender sometimes, but I don't think his head's at Tottenham. Now, if Real Madrid are interested and Real Madrid offer, let's say, I don't know, £85 million for him in January, do we not take that money and try and spend it and strengthen elsewhere?
Only if he refuses to sign a contract, because he's down to 2 years. If not, you keep him. All the argument fans have had over, why is it we don't bring in these top-class defenders, these top-class players, and pay top money for them and all that when we spend money? So now we sell a player. We need to see how the season goes. We might end up with a couple of trophies yet. I mean, I don't know. How do you tell the players? You're looking at him on the pitch, his head's gone. He's in another place. He's focusing on game. I don't get that.
Be at the club. Adrian, if he doesn't want to
then
be
you sell
at
him.
the club,
Then you sell him. I don't want anyone at my football club that doesn't want to be. Then you sell him. And if he gets down to 2 years, same with any player. If they don't want to renew their contract on 2 years, don't let them run it down to one. Sell them. Sell them.
At the end of the day, he reminds me of Lo Celso. He saves his best performances for Argentina.
Absolutely.
He wants to play for Argentina. He's not bothered about the club. You know, he should never have gone on international duty and an injury. And he's gone. I just think he's a bozo. I've said it about bozo, Gene, and I think he's got it, I'm afraid.
You're
well said, Kate.
You're 100% right there, Kate. That him going on international duty, that really, really pissed me off, because he come off injured, right? And he's gone on international duty, and he come off on international duty injured with the same injury that he went with.
Exactly.
So that really pissed me off. But I just don't think I think we should give him a bit more time with Ange, see what happens. But look, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen. And
exactly.
We don't know. We don't know what's in his head yet. We don't know what's going to happen with the contract talks and things like that. So we don't know. If he goes and he don't want to sign, then he goes. I ain't got an issue with that with any player that way. Not at all. But I mean, you're talking about a world-class defender, I believe he is. And I would keep him. If he wants to stay, I'm all for keeping him. He doesn't waste the ball. When he gets down to the ball, and yesterday, Dragerson, right? Good game. One he booted up, filled out a touch a couple of times. Romero doesn't do that. He'll hold the ball on the byline. He'll caress the ball, turn. He'll try and use the ball. But like he doesn't do that. He's very good on the ball. He's better on the ball than VDV. He's better in the air than VDV. Right? VDV's got pace. He's sexy. All the fans love him. Right? And he's better than any of our other central defenders. He's better. He's just better.
But he's older.
What's he, 27, 28?
Yeah, and what's Van der Ven?
Van der Ven's 23 now, probably.
Yeah, and I just think Van der Ven will end up being a far superior defender to.
Well, he may do, but he's still developing, isn't he?
Yeah.
And
he's still developing. And this is the thing. Your doggy's still developing. We got 11 players in a 25-man squad that are under 24. And they wonder why we're inconsistent. You know, I mean, I just... Romero's got the experience. If he's not happy, I don't know. I haven't seen signs of it. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, I'd always hold my hands up. But I mean, like, I haven't seen it. I've seen him want to stay on that pitch when he's been hurt and not come off. When he smashed his head against Brentford, he had to come off a concussion. He wanted to stay on. When he's done the ligaments in his toe, and like he wanted to stay on. You know. So, but we got other young defenders coming through in Dorrit, Phillips, and Vuskovic. So it's not going to be a disaster, but it's just a question of how ready they are as well. You know? So,
let's move it on because I want to do
that livened the show up, Ian, didn't it? A bit of Romero.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if he doesn't want to be at the club, I don't want him. I think he's got all the ability in the world, but I say with anybody in any walk of life is my opinion. Unless you apply yourself, you know, you can't coach attitude. And if his attitude's not right, I don't want him.
Let's say as well, right, that his wife was pregnant. He's just had a baby. He might have. Kate, when your wife's pregnant, right? When you was pregnant, I was worried sick about you all the time. Was I not?
James Madison's wife's just had twins. You can't make excuses like that. He didn't carry the baby.
Yeah, but he's still worried. He still could have been worried about his wife. What I've seen of him, right? I think that he loses a bit of concentration, right, and he's a bit slow on the ball sometimes. But I'm not ready to kick him out of the club. That's for sure.
Yeah, I say if he wanted to go to Madrid, if he said, "Oh, Madrid have made an offer and I want to go," I'd be letting him go. If he comes and says, no, I'm committed to Tottenham and I want to sign another 5-year contract.
What is amused is the fan base always want one player to beat with a stick. Now, I've warmed to Brennan.
I agree with that at all.
It was Kulisevsky, it was Brennan Johnson, it's Timo Werner, I mean, it was Eric Dyer, and it sort of goes round in a never-ending circle. There's always one player they think
Pratt, Alan Mallory, let's go back, you know.
And then you get fans like, even like when City win the league, right? They won 7 out of the last 10 or whatever it is. Like you'll have City fans saying, "Yeah, but we could do with a better left back, or we could do with a better." It doesn't stop, you know what I mean? We could do with a better centre back or whatever. You know?
Exactly, Paddy. That's exactly what I said. He ain't having
exactly. No, not making excuses for him.
Okay.
But you still worry about your wife when she's pregnant. It's a natural.
Oh, well, not when you're earning hundreds of millions of pounds. You don't.
Well,
don't put up such a ridiculous argument.
What's £100 million if you're into a baby? Nothing.
They've got all the money to have all the best healthcare. She's probably got people waiting on her hand and foot. What's he worried about, the silly arse?
We should let the chat know that Jim used to be a bouncer in Mothercare, right? So.
I want to do a stream and find out about Jim and Kate's makeup sex tonight after this. I'm a bad man. Right, come on. What are we going to... Because you'll do a stream on this. I want to do this quickly, and then I want to do the guest questions. It looks like we've lost AJ. So the guest questions, and then we'll wrap it up to 2 hours. You know, I can't go for more than 2 hours at my age.
Let me scroll up to the squad, because otherwise they'll forget. What am I doing? It's banners, Adrian, you idiot.
Sorry, Adrian, was that you talking there?
Yeah, it was. I was just going through to see where the squad is posted, and it would depend if Mikey Moore's over his virus.
Oh, have we got that?
Have I got this?
Loan Watch Europa. Yeah, I mean, we've got it here somewhere, haven't we?
Squad.
Oh, you've got it. There you go.
If they're not all fit, we know Odegaard's not fit, and we know that Bentancur's not sweat. A couple of bits of info for you today, though.
Well, hang on, Bentancur can play, can't he?
Yes,
he can play. He can play. Right,
So
I just put him because he's got the ban. It's got a little asterisk by him. Bentancur can play European.
Bergvall would play. Lancashire, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a game we got to win. This is my concern. You know, you're going to give Forster another run.
Well, the thing that was interesting before yesterday's game, I didn't see the squad. When I watched the last video of the training, because I like to see who's running about, Richarlison was in the gym and he's also out on the pitch kicking the ball. So he might get a game against Roma, and they might rest Solanke because he's done a lot of running, Solanke. So, but then I would expect Lancashire to be on the bench and maybe even start. And I definitely want to see more of Mikey Moore. He's mental, right? You know.
If he's fit, he's had this virus, you know.
Yeah. Isn't Lancashire, ain't he on a game ban?
Who?
Lancashire.
Oh, Lancashire can't play. Lancashire suspended.
Oh, he got sent off.
Yeah.
Lancashire suspended. Of course
he's suspended for one.
Off. Sorry,
He must have a one-match ban for.
Yes, yeah.
So Solanke has to play.
You know, you can see Werner starting with Richarlison and Johnson because Johnson didn't play a full game.
Yeah. Richie won't start. Richie's nowhere near going to be ready.
No, I mean, this is the point. He has to go out the club, by the way. He can't have this. You know, he has to go. He's useless. Useless. Not that he's a useless player, but he's useless constantly in the treatment table. So, yeah, I mean, I think he'll have to play. I don't know, Jim and Kate have to play Davis and Dragusin again. Maybe put Gray in, put Spence in.
Spence can't play.
Spence can't play.
Oh, Spence can't play. Spence is in that squad. You need to move that, Adrian. Spence.
No, it's just because this is the squad for league games as well, so I just left it there.
Okay.
So because otherwise I've got to do two. Yeah, I'm just wondering if Son will play through the middle, which will allow two wingers either side of him. Because
that's what I think will happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's hard to second guess Ange now. It's very hard. You never know what he's going to do. But then you could play Werner, and then you're playing Johnson, aren't you?
I mean, is he going to give Maddison another go after that performance, or is he going to rest him?
All depends who you're bringing in, doesn't it? Because Bentancur will definitely play.
Yeah.
Sarr, who's shown a maturity beyond his years in the last few games. I mean, like he's the fittest footballer at the club, so no problem, no worries playing him.
Is it an opportunity to give Gray and or Bergvall a run in midfield, or is he going to play?
I think Gray will play at the back.
You could bring Bergvall in with Sarr and Bentancur.
Yeah.
And Decky be on the bench. And back four, I think Romero would be fit for this. I think, look, he did ligaments in his big toe.
Yeah, right, I think he'll play Solanke again, by the way. I think he'll play Solanke again.
He's going to want the 3 points. You know, we threw the game. We dropped 7 players again. We changed 7 players against Galatasaray to win at Ipswich. So it was like a double defeat when that failed, right? So now I think Son plays through the middle. I think he's the only option. I don't know if Mikey Moore will be over his virus. They say virus. It could have been COVID, couldn't it? I mean, like, we don't know. So, yeah. So
it's been a few weeks now, Adrian, isn't it?
Yeah, but Ange said in the last presser, he went, he didn't. He said, are we still getting over his virus, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, okay. We have guest questions.
Right. And we got,
we have guest questions.
This is the yellow card watch, guys.
You do the yellow card quickly while I find the questions.
Well, VDV's on 4, so he's not. You've got to get to 19 games without 5 to get the 1 match ban. If you get 5 in the second half of the season, you get a 2 match ban. So Bentancur could come back. I'm hoping after what I see about that Mendy today, Benjamin Mendy and De Silva at City, the more I feel that's a very unjust sentence that Bentancur's got. When I look at that, which looks far worse to me, but that's my opinion. I'm biased though. So others not so much of a threat. Again, look, in midfield, you're going to pick up yellow cards. Kulu's got 3 and Basuma's got 3. So, and at least Maddison scored. He didn't take his shirt off and he didn't badmouth the referee. So, like, he behaved
with yellow cards.
And he only got the 2, right? So,
All right, we've been going 2 hours, so I'm going to wrap it up. But we always have our guest Q&A when they're on for the first time.
Mhm.
So, Kate, how did you become a Spurs fan?
I'd always liked football, and I did used to watch Spurs. And when I was about 6, my uncle took me to Spurs West Ham, and my gramps was a massive West Ham fan, bless him. And everyone else was Spurs, and my gramps was convinced that West Ham would beat us, and I'd become a West Ham fan. But Spurs won comfortably, and from that moment on, I was hooked. It really is as simple as that. So, yeah.
Jimbo?
One side of my family is Chelsea, and one side of my family is massive Spurs. And I've never liked Chelsea, so I went on the Spurs side. I was only little. My cousins, my uncle, on that side, they're all Tottenham, and I just like from I think I was I don't know how old. I didn't really even understand football. I was so young, and I was supporting Spurs. But then it was funny because I went into a boarding school, and my head teacher was a massive. The house I was in, he was a massive Spurs fan, and he used to take us quite a lot. So, but I mean, I've been a Spurs fan 55 years, maybe even 56. So that's how it's my family, one side of my family,
And it's how we met.
and that's where we met. We met at White Hart Lane.
With me, it's the Spurs or the orphanage. So
we actually met in the
days
cafe
before you had to swipe left or right.
yeah. We actually met in the cafe. Just round the corner from Tottenham. We was both
the one that's the Eurocaf now next to Coach and Horses.
And we actually met in there and got talking, went to the game. I took her number, and I don't think I saw any football. I was just texting her all through the game. And the rest is history.
That's sweeter than any answer I think we've had. Okay, name your favourite Spurs player.
You only have to name one. Just name a favourite player.
There's so many. Gary Mabbott is up there as one of my very favourites. I love him. I love him as a human and as a player. I thought he was immense. Just a real one of those that would run through a brick wall for the club.
You just upset Mickey Hazard now.
Yeah. And he knows he's my favourite. So yeah, Mabbott and King, two of my very favourites, both of those two. But I know who Jimbo's is, but go on, Jimbo.
Yeah, Mickey Hazard was always my hero when I was a kid. Well, I say a kid, but he was always my favourite player. I loved Mickey Hazard, the way he played football. And that was one of the reasons that we got in touch with him, wasn't it? Yeah, it's always been Mickey Hazard.
A memorable Spurs victory, Kate?
Easy one, this one.
I know what yours is going to be, Jimbo, before you even say it, but I'm going to go with the Ajax win because there's never been a game that's made me feel quite like that game. Well, there has because we've won trophies, but it was just the most emotional game because you was up and down the whole way through. So when people always say to me, think of a game, that's the game that first comes to mind. Maybe in a couple of years, I'll be saying the 4-0 win against Manchester City at the Etihad. But for now, it's still the Ajax game in the Champions League semi-final because that was just a roller coaster of emotions and just brilliant.
Were you there?
Unfortunately not. I was watching it at home with Jimbo on the settee.
And there's a funny story to this game with the glasses. Tell them the story.
I had to take my glasses to the opticians because they were broken. And when Mora scored the winner, Jim screamed and I was like, what? And he went, he scored. I went, no, he didn't. That didn't go over the line. I literally couldn't see. And I rang up Talk Sport and told them the story. And from then on, they referred to me as Kate with the glasses for ages, didn't they? Every time I called up, they said, oh, it's Kate with the glasses. But yeah, so perhaps I had my new glasses for the final and I kind of wish I hadn't because maybe we'd have won.
I've got to make a confession about that. Me and Mandy, my partner, were in Prague, and there's a bar in the main square there, and we watched the second half of the Liverpool Barcelona game the night before. Went in early to watch that, and at 2-0 at half time, I just said, "Can we just go back to the hotel, because we are just going to be going all out attack, and they are good, and they are just going to pick us off, and it's going to finish 5-0." And she insisted we stayed and watched. But I tell you, I would have left, because I just could only see us getting gubbed. I couldn't see that comeback. I never saw it coming at all. And I mean, and I never leave football early, never, ever, ever. Unless I had a plane to catch or whatever, there's no way in the world, or a hot date I'd pick. I'd met at the stadium. That might be different. But other than that, I would never. And it's a terrible confession, and I shouldn't make it. But she said, she insisted we stayed, and it was one of the great days. Jimbo, your favorite Spurs victory?
Can I give you two?
Yes, of course.
My favourite one from the past, right, was beating Arsenal in the semi-final.
Yeah,
I was there, and that was just that was just a phenomenal day. And more recent was when we beat Liverpool 4-1 under Poch. I absolutely.
Oh yeah, where we ended Lovren.
Yeah, where Kane just made Lovren look like he was a Sunday league player.
Yeah,
I just that game just sticks in my mind. We played so well that game. It was just it was a phenomenal game. So they're my
that
two.
was the game though that Klopp decided he needed to make changes and brought in what's his name? Van
Dijk.
Van Dijk, yeah. Van Dijk, and he brought in Alisson as a result of the pasting that Tottenham gave him that afternoon. That was a turning point for Liverpool. That
kind of ended Lovren that game, didn't it?
It didn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Kane did. It made him look like a Sunday league player. And then you may have already answered it, Kate. So I'll start with Jimbo. But your favourite Spurs goal?
Gaza, free kick, top corner.
I knew that was coming.
That game, that goal was just, oh my God, off the planet. And then what I loved about that as well, after when they interviewed Gaza, he went, "I can't believe Seaman tried to save it." I just loved it.
He almost got a hand.
I know, he did, yeah.
On the way out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my favourite goal.
Kate, your favourite goal?
There's so many, but I think one of mine is Dele Alli's goal against Crystal Palace, where he turned then volleyed it. We forget how brilliant he was. He was magnificent, that guy, and that goal was just sensational. But I mean, we've seen some brilliant goals, but that one stands out in my mind. It was such a wonderful goal.
You know what? You ever watch that winning goal with your glasses on in Amsterdam, and the ball gets punted forward, Llorente nods it on. If you look at the touch by Dele Alli, it's all very well hitting a 5-6 yard pass. This ball's got to be hit about 18 inches 2 feet, and if it's not perfect, it gets intercepted. It's to the millimeter perfect. It's the only way that ball can be delivered for Moura to get a first time touch and steer it into the corner. Too soft, he's overrun the ball. Too heavy, and De Ligt gets it, and it's they go to the final. I mean, it's a shame what happened to him.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the road. AJ, I don't know what happened to AJ, but sorry, AJ, if
he uses his phone and his battery runs out all the time.
Okay, well, someone has to save up and buy him an iPad for Christmas. For someone sent me a thing. I don't know if anyone wants it. Ask me. To the tune of Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire." We didn't have an iPad. Of all of the things that we didn't have when we were kids growing up, but
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone's. Well, I know there's a fair number of you still in the chat, but yeah, Ellie and Audio Artisan just comes in just as we're finished. Nita, yeah, thank you. There's a good few of you, so all of you there, thank you very much. To Jimbo and to Kate, the perfect match. When are we next going to see you online?
We're live tomorrow at 12, doing our Premier League recap. And then on Wednesday at 12, we've got a special mental health stream.
Lovely.
We've got a lot of people asked for it because we do, as you know, we do a lot of work for mental health. So we've got just a catch-up stream with everyone. They can come in and they can talk to us, come on the show, or they can just sit and listen, and just to let everyone know that they're not on their own, because Christmas and this time of year isn't always the nicest time for some people. So we wanted to just reach out and make sure everyone's all right. So yeah, there'll be football shows Monday and Friday, maybe Thursday as well, but a mental health stream on Wednesday at 12. So
the other thing, Ian, is streams like yours, ours, and a lot of other streams out there do wonders for a lot of people. There's a lot of people on their own, right?
Sure.
And this helps them, takes their mind off of stuff, gives them something to come into the chat and talk and, meet people in the chat, make friends. So these streams like this and ours and other streams, I think, do wonders for a lot of people.
Yeah. Ben, I've posted that link up. You've probably seen. Ben, I'd love to get you on the show, please. So if you're there, if you message me and let me know what over the next few weeks, what Sunday will suit you. I may not. I'm hoping to go to London, so I may or may not make host a show next week. I'll see. But Ben, love to get you on. So you've got my.
Go to his coffee shop.
Yeah,
we'll meet him in the coffee. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I hope he does good coffee.
His coffee's the only coffee I've ever drunk that you don't need sugar.
correct.
Oh, okay, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ellie says she'll be tuning in as well. If you haven't liked and subscribed to our channel, please do. It gives us an enormous help. We've got a lovely crowd that comes in on a Sunday night. I know you've got your own following as well, Adrian, on a Tuesday and Friday, and Ellie when she's fit and able to do the show. Adrian, just a quick plug. You'll be on stream at 8 o'clock. Spurs Diehards TTID.
Yeah, Tuesday, Deji Spurs is on. Jim Kanicki's on. One half of the Irish Hotspurs on. I did send out a request to Charlie Biker, the Dutch kid. He's coming over for the game though. We usually meet up we all meet in the dispensary. We're like with Brad Matthews and Steve and Martin and things like that. So,
I've got an invite to go on the Hotspur Hood on Tuesday night, so I'll have to. I've said I'll do it, so
we'll do it. That's all right.
Yeah, we'll see. Stelios is on. Lovely.
Save the conversation for the back room.
Okay, Ben. We'll definitely. I'll definitely be in touch and get you on in the next few weeks. All that's left for me to say is thank you to everybody. Thanks again to my guests. Thanks for everybody in the chat. It's been a really good discussion. It's always better, of course, when you've got I can't even find it now. Where's it gone? I was looking for my 4-0
right.
but yeah, don't worry about it.
I thought you was looking for the play out tune.
We will play out. With what shall we play? What one?
Play the Dreams.
What? Dreams of Desire.
Yeah.
Good night, all. Thank you very much, everybody.
See you in the back room, guys.
You guys, I'll see you in the back room.